live. We've got the little button up saying that we're live. So we've just been having a lovely chat before this, and I have made one of the midlife mistakes. Claire has just pointed out to me, like, how are you? How are you? And I said I'm a bit hungover because I had 2 glasses of wine last night, and that's one too many, it would seem now. So Claire, thanks for joining us this morning. I clearly need some schooling on my habits, the mistakes that I'm making. I need a bit of motivation as well. So hopefully everybody that's watching this too will get loads out of this. But how are you this morning, Claire? You all right? Feeling better than me?
Yeah, no, I'm really good. I've been for my little 8K run through, but I'm really bad now. Through Regent's Park. But yeah, no, I'm feeling fresh, and the sun's shining. The sun always helps. I mean, my goodness, like, where's the summer? Where's the summer been? But hopefully, and my birthday's coming up, so I'm like, come on, sunshine, stay out for my birthday.
You are full of beans then this morning. We're like yin and yang this morning.
I'm always like Tigger in the morning. I get tired as the day goes on.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Claire, you've had a bit of a squiggly journey as well. So you started off in PR, in corporate, then you did coaching in corporate. That didn't really float your boat, so you've ended up doing what you're doing now, and you're amazing at it. And it's all about the holistic well-being of the whole human body rather than just focusing on PT stuff or the psychology. You sort of put the two together with hormones, with diet. It's amazing the stuff you do.
Absolutely. I'll give you a little bit of background on the few slides. I'll give you a bit of background about where I've come from, like emotionally as well, I suppose, which I think always helps, because some people look at people. This is the highlight reels of everyone's life, right? This is social media. You see the highlight reels of everyone's life, and it's really easy to think, oh, that person, they've always had it all figured out, or they've always been that way. And what do they know? Well, you know, that's my story, is that, you know, it was a really difficult journey to get to where I'm at right now. Lots of inner healing. And yeah, I was 2 dress sizes bigger than I am now, and I've been 2 dress sizes smaller than I am now. So it's always, my family isn't naturally, I hope they're not listening to this, but my family isn't like a naturally slim family. So I work hard for the body, but also the mindset stuff as well. Yeah. But I did work in PR for 15 years, and I was trying to get out of it. So I was doing coaching. I worked for Microsoft as a business coach. I was a stress management consultant, all the while doing freelance PR to keep the money coming in. So I was kind of a balancing act, constant.
And now look at you. You're one of, what did you say earlier? You're one of the top 2 podcasts in the whole of podcasts now.
Yeah, the whole of podcast world. No, that's the whole of podcast world. The Midlife Mentors is now the top 2% of global podcasts.
Amazing.
Which we've been told, and I keep going, oh no, you should check. Oh no, you should bet. But every time I check, every time we ask our lovely PR lady, she's like, Claire, you just need to accept it.
Back yourself, come on.
Yeah, no, I know.
So it's working. This squiggly journey has got you to right here to being this amazing expert, and you're just nailing it. So I'm going to come off this and let you talk about all the incredible things that we need to hear about, and school me in the mistakes that I'm making. So I will see you after the slides for a bit of Q&A.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Ooh. So am I sharing my screen? There we are. So we were trying to work out how to completely share my screen, but you're going to have the bits at the top as well. So sorry about that. So 5 midlife mistakes that women make is the topic of this workshop. And as Emma said, we've got time for questions at the end. So just who am I? Who is she? I'm one half of the Midlife Mentors with my husband, James. We still have an award-winning wellness retreats company that started over in Ibiza in 2012. And obviously with COVID and everything that happened there, that fell off a cliff at the beginning of last year. We did run our first one in 18 months a couple of weeks ago. It was fully booked. It was amazing to see real people again. But so that's how we started. And one of the reasons we started the Midlife Mentors is because most of our clients that came on those retreats were midlifers. I'm midlife, I'm 42. James is 40, get this right, 8. But we had a lot of clients come in with the same challenges, the same things going on in their life, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And we saw it a lot amongst our friends. You know, a lot of our friends were thinking, you know, my body's changing. I don't know what to do with this. I'm I'm not feeling good in my own skin. I've lost my self-identity. I feel lost. I don't feel excited about life anymore. So that's how the Midlife Mentors podcast started 2 years ago. And from there, we created the Midlife Method coaching program, which is an 8-week program for busy midlifers, taking them through mind, body, and soul transformation. So a total inside-out job. Been in the wellbeing industry for 20 years. PT, nutrition advisor, stress management consultant, life coach, neurolinguistic program, blah, 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 blah. I was a complete junkie when it came to like self-development. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands, but it all worked out in the end because I bring it all together in one package now. So this is me. So I always like to show this, is what I was saying. I had a really, as we all have, got our own stories. That's the beauty of life. We've all got our own stories, but actually sharing stories is how we've evolved as communities and how we've connected and shared experiences. So I never want anyone to, look at me, I suppose. I want to be really vulnerable and say, look, I really struggled. I was on antidepressants 10 years ago. I've had 2 divorces. This is my 3rd marriage. They all went hideously wrong. I had an incredibly bad relationship with food. I used it as a control. So, and then when I couldn't hold it together anymore, I'd pile on the weight. The antidepressants made me pile on the weight. I was never into fitness. I did a bit of cardio, but I was never into lifting or anything like that until I was about 28. It changed my world. And I stopped drinking so much alcohol. I got myself together. I really understood the nutrition side of things. So I qualified in all of that and I never looked back. And I thought, I want to show other women how to regain control of their life, their body and their mind. So that's what I started doing. And it's like something clicked. All these other things I'd been trying, I was miserable. It's like I was putting on a mask the whole time. As soon as I found this thing, I was like, I need to give other women their power back through the mind and the body, because often you forget this body is the only home we have, and this body needs to feel powerful and strong. And once you do that, it connects with the mind, and then there's this beautiful loop. So I don't know whether you can read on that properly. The biggest challenges us women face at midlife, I find, is increased belly fat. I'm going to explain why some of this is. Increased belly fat, lack of energy and vitality, loss of self-identity, just feel lost. What we thought was going to make us happy doesn't necessarily make us happy anymore. We start almost this second act, I call it the second act of our life. We really do start, and people call it the midlife crisis and stuff. It is a real thing, but it's got a bad rap. This midlife crisis I term as like a midlife transformation, a revolution. We're looking at what we want to have in our world moving forward. Do those things make us happy anymore? But that can be very, very scary. So we're going to talk about that. These are some of the mistakes. But self-sabotage, biggest challenge, self-sabotaging all the time. Depression, mood swings and brain fog. These are massively hormone related. Poor sleep and hot flushes, injuries, loss of strength, increased hunger and sugar cravings. And this is the biggest thing. Women come to me and the stuff they were doing before, some of which I'm going to talk about, they no longer work. And it's really frustrating. So guess what? They beat themselves up. And this is why I do what I do, is to create awareness, because awareness leads to self-compassion. And the only way you can change, you can't change something that you don't know about. So the first thing is being aware and educated and empowered. And that's what hopefully I'm going to do a little bit of, tiny snippet of in this workshop. So just to explain, I'm going to have a sip of coffee, some coffee things. A melting pot of hormonal changes are going on inside the midlife female body. These are some of them. So when I do my workshop on perimenopause and menopause, I go into detail about every single one of these hormones and how they're changing and how they're impacting each other and how they impact your body, your emotional state and your mental state. So we've got estrogen, progesterone, obviously estrogen, the sex hormone, testosterone. We have testosterone that decreases and completely goes altogether once we've gone through menopause. HGH, human growth hormone, massively important. Insulin, how we process sugar in the body. Leptin, our I'm full hormone, which triggers and says I'm full now. And cortisol, our stress hormone. So I'm going to dive straight in now. Mistake number one. And so I just wanted to show you, by the way, those hormones, because I'm going to be talking about some of those as I go through some of these mistakes. And just so many people aren't aware of that cocktail of hormones that are going on inside their body. And therefore, without that awareness, you can't understand why you're needing to change other things. When you understand, you're more invested in the changes you need to make in order to live a healthy, happy life. So crash diets. Ladies, we can no longer do crash diets. Diet is massively important at midlife. What you're doing, you're putting your body under a massive, massive pressure and stress when you reduce your calories too low and when you're cutting out macros, proteins, fats and carbs. You need a well-balanced, healthy diet at midlife because if you're crash dieting, not only are you lowering your already reducing metabolic rate, but when you're also really, really impacting your immune system, you're putting your body under enormous amounts of stress. So your central nervous system, when you cut your calories back too much, your body goes into survival mode, right? So our ancestors, think about our ancestors. They were walking the plains of Africa. When they found a kill or a hunt, they'd gorge, which is another reason that even now our brains are hardwired to gorge on food. It's insane. So that's why we have to be really aware of that. So that's why all you can eat buffets are so popular. You go in, you gorge, because inside your brain, chemically, you are still thinking, I need to stock up like my ancestors did. You're not conscious of that, but that's what your body's doing. Because when there's a scarcity of food, you know, my calories are going to be really, really low. So I need enough in me to conserve my energy and stay alive, basically. However, we don't live like that anymore. So what we're doing is putting our bodies through these insane crash diets, which are restrictive, and you cannot carry on with them. So what happens is you bring your metabolic rate down because your metabolism slows right down. So you're conserving your energy like our ancestors. So it'll bring your baseline metabolic rate down, down, down like this to conserve your energy. Because it doesn't, your body's going, when's the next meal coming from? I'm in a calorie deficit here. When's the next meal coming from? However, you're then going to go out socializing, drinking a glass of wine, eating carbs again, not living on Slim Fast shakes for the rest of your life. Your metabolic rate's down here, but you're consuming more calories. So guess what? You're going to put on weight because your baseline metabolic rate at which you burn calories is down here. So you're going to be consuming way more calories than you were to begin with. So that's a massive, massive problem. When you crash diet, you're messing with your metabolic rate. When you eat normally again, your baseline is down here, and yet you're consuming too many calories. When you're consuming too many calories, your body weight, your body fat is going to go up. So not only does it put massive pressure on your immune system, it damages your self-esteem, because you're constantly yo-yo dieting. You're thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I stick to anything? You can't stick to it because you're not supposed, your brain is not hardwired to be in this constant calorie deficit like this in this lifetime. You are surrounded by plentiful food. We're very, very lucky, but we keep doing this to ourselves, and it is going to really, really damage our midlife body. So what we want to be doing is eating a healthy, balanced diet, of good carbs, good fats, good proteins. And one of the things I want to say about protein while I'm here, we don't have enough protein in our diet. Protein triggers leptin. Leptin, as I said on that last slide, leptin is your iron 4 hormone, and protein triggers that. So the more protein you can have in your diet for every meal, I'm talking, leafy, I'm talking fresh fish, I'm talking lean meat, I'm talking beans, pulses, even a protein shake, a protein powder to add to your breakfast. That's what I have every morning on some yogurt or in a protein smoothie, a protein shake. That's my go-to breakfast. Because what you want to do is trigger that leptin so you're not feeling as hungry throughout the day and you're less inclined to snack. So just that thing on crash diets, please stop doing it. It will take your body, and it causes things like IBS as well, and your gut health. They call our gut the second brain. Our gut is the second brain because it's where we produce most of our serotonin. Our gut produces most of our serotonin, 90% of it not in our brain. So there's a direct link between how we fuel ourselves and how we feel. So we need to be really, really careful about the good gut bacteria in our stomachs. And they say there's more and more research that's saying, we've got the bin men coming around now here in London. You're going to hear the bin man. They basically say that most diseases and most illnesses actually start from bad gut health. So being really, really careful, stop crash dieting, stop doing these awful, awful slim fasts and all that sort of stuff because your body can't cope with it and you're doing yourself more harm than good. Next one, external, not internal. So this is mistake number 2. Most people end up just focusing on the external things that are going to make them happy. You know, we're taught this in society and we grow up with this, you know, be successful, get the house, get the marriage, get the car, go on holiday, have all these things, have all the wealth, look good, have a great body, blah, 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 all this pressure, but it's all external. And we don't learn or value how to create an internal state of happiness and well-being and gratitude. So what I always say to clients is, if you're the person that's like striving for something, which is, by the way, is often a trauma response. So we're striving, we're kind of running constantly away from the present moment. It's because a lot of us are afraid to be still and silent in the present moment, because then we might actually have to face some of our emotions that need to be healed. But it catches up. It's like putting things in the post. They'll land on your doorstep all at once if we don't take the time to ground ourselves and become very, very aware of who we are and what we really want. And honestly, self-love and self-care is the most important thing we can ever learn how to do in this lifetime, and giving ourselves permission to do that, which is so hard for midlife women, right? You might potentially have children, you're juggling a job, you're juggling world issues, you're juggling homes, it's just increased even in the last 18 months with what's been going on in the world. So you don't give yourself permission to look internally, it's constantly external, and you hope that you're going to be happy when you get this, when you get that, when you reach this point. But happiness is an inside job, so we need to learn how to cultivate it. Gratitude is also an internal job, and we need to learn how to cultivate that. We don't just wake up and feel happy and grateful and present. We have to really practice that, and that's what we teach with our mindset stuff, our NLP. We do a lot of hypnotherapy stuff, and reprogramming the mind, because one of the things, again, we say is your success is 80% mindset, 20% doing. And the reason for that is a thing called congruence theory. So this is psychology. What we do something. So we'll do a diet, we'll go to the gym, or we'll change careers, or we'll do something externally. But what we haven't looked at is our belief systems within us. And this is where self-sabotage comes in. That's one of the challenges that I said right at the beginning, is self-sabotage is absolutely massive by the time we get to our age, because our belief systems, they feel so fixed, and our belief systems will always win out. We cannot outperform externally our own self-identity internally. So unless the way you see yourself and the way you are and the way you're being is aligned with what you're doing, you could do that for a short amount of time externally, but your belief systems will always pull you back into your habits, into your self-sabotage, back to who you think you really are. So it's about changing the story of who you are to be in line with the goal that you're going for. So I'll give you an example of this. When people win the lottery, but they're in a scarcity mindset. So those people that haven't had very much money growing up, but then they win the lottery, this is a phenomenon that's just crazy, right? They burn through all the money and end up more in debt, because they don't believe in themselves that they are able to handle that much money, that they are a wealthy person. So their self-identity, their belief patterns will always win out. It's the same with diets. That's why 97% of dieters end up failing and putting more weight on again, because they're not addressing what they think about themselves. They're incongruent. Your beliefs and your actions are incongruent. So what you're trying to do is bring them back together. And that's the mindset work. Honestly, everything we do is based on that. Then the movement side of what we do, and the nutrition side of what we do, and the emotional well-being, that's all underpinned by this belief system. So really understanding what you think you are and how those things are holding you back, and then reprogramming them, which is NLP. So neuroscience says now that we can absolutely reprogram the neurons in our brain. The neurons in our brain, the thicker ones, the thicker they are, the more easily those messages, those electronic magnetic messages can travel in between them, right? So that means that they're stronger, faster, and they're more attached. You're more attached to those ones. But what we can do is reprogram and build new neural pathways in our brain by affirmations, visualization, gratitude, morning rituals, all these things, future pacing, all these things we can really start to program our brain that's in line with the person we want to become. So this is a mistake that so many midlife ladies make. They get here, they're lost, they're a cocktail of hormones as well, right? So estrogen is dropping. Estrogen's all over the place as we age. Estrogen massively affects your serotonin production. And the production of serotonin in the gut, the less estrogen you have, the less serotonin you have. Therefore, you don't feel as uplifted. Serotonin is a happy hormone. You don't feel as uplifted. So women will go to their doctors and say, look, I'm feeling really low. I'm feeling low on energy, and they just get put on antidepressants. They don't even ask them about their lifestyle factors. They don't ask them about their nutrition, because your nutrition massively impacts your mental state and your emotional state. They don't ask about nutrition. Are you eating too much sugar? I'm going to go on to that one. They don't ask whether you're doing any exercise or anything, just antidepressants. A lot of them do. And I know they save lives. 10 years ago, saved my life. So I'm not saying they're bad. What I'm saying is we need an understanding of what's going on and how we can help ourselves and take responsibility ourselves before we go on to some chemicals, before we go on to those antidepressants. And I wish I'd known that, but I'm glad I found it and I was able to come off my antidepressants fairly quickly. So I could go on, I could do a whole workshop on self-identity and self-beliefs, but when you're feeling lost and anxious and you don't know where to go and you're like, no, none of this is making me happy, I should be happy, but none of this is making me happy anymore, it's because you need to self-actualize. You need to start understanding what your belief systems are, what makes you happy, what you're here to do. You have a song to sing, we all do, and it's individual. And it's about, especially at midlife, when we're in this second act, it's about understanding that we want to start moving into that self-actualization, that expansion, that power, regaining our power. Because a lot of women feel like they've lost their power at midlife. So it's about helping them get it back. Mistake number 3, ignoring resistance training. So when I talked about dieting, crash dieting, what happens is a lot of those, we go something called catabolic. So you're going through your fat reserves, and then you're going into your muscle mass. You're ever increasing muscle mass. So don't crash diet purely because of this as well. Your muscle mass, as we age, about 35, is starting to decrease. And with that, so is your metabolic rate as well, because muscle is metabolically active, more metabolically active than fat. So you're burning more calories at rest when you've got more muscle. So you want to make sure that you are sustaining your muscle mass. You want to make sure that you're sustaining it so you're not injuring yourself, so you're strong, so you have a great quality of life. It's not just about the longevity of your life, it's the quality of your life. And you need a strong body. It's about posture. It's about bone density. So for women, osteoporosis, when we hit perimenopause and menopause, is a massive issue because of our fluctuating hormones. But couple that with our bone density is decreasing anyway, we need to be doing weight-bearing exercise to strengthen those bones. So you cannot ignore resistance training, ladies. You can't, because of your health and your well-being for your future. But also, your metabolic rate will increase. So that's another bonus. You'll also look different. You can do as much cardio in the world. If you are not doing resistance training, your body shape will not change dramatically at all. It was only when I started doing resistance training, you start feeling strong and empowered, because that's another psychological part of doing resistance training. When you start doing it, your body shape changes. And I have to tell you, the reason I do what I do now is because of resistance training. It changed how I felt about myself, when I could control nothing else in my life, when I was going through a divorce, I was on antidepressants, I was 2 dress sizes bigger, I felt terrible about myself. This was the only thing that I could control: my food, my resistance training, and my body. So that's where I regained my power, and I can see it in women all the time. The psychological connection of the body and the mind is so, so strong. So I would say, please don't ignore resistance training. Oh, I don't mean going to a gym and pumping iron. Perhaps 97% of our clients all work from home with some kettlebells. That's why I've got some pictures of some lovely luminous kettlebells. They either use kettlebells, their own body weight, or some bands, and you get phenomenal results. Because I had to use them in lockdown, and I was really funny about not going to the gym, and actually bands made my glutes even perter, just from bands, so I carry on using them now. So, stress. Obviously, I'm a stress management consultant, so I used to go around the city doing stress management training with big corporates. We underestimate the power of stress in our life, and I am going to say something really dramatic right now. Stress is a silent killer. Stress is the silent killer. It's why we go into organisations now and just do workshops on stress management, how it affects our mind, body and soul. Physiologically, people don't understand what it's actually doing to the longevity and the happiness of your life long term. It is a silent killer, and I tell you why. Because it's just, we've got used, it's almost like we use it as a badge of honour. I'm really stressed, I've got a massive to-do list, I'm really busy, and therefore I'm of value. And that's what we become, human doings, not human beings. So we're creating this stress in our lives constantly, and we've become so used to it because it's a hum of stress. It's been normalised in society and in our own life, so we don't even realise constantly. But our body cannot, same cocktail of hormones, our body cannot distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger, fight or flight, and that email pinging in from your boss late at night telling you off. Same cocktail of hormones kick in, and it shuts down the non-essential body functions. So that cocktail of hormones, the massive fly that's just going in the window. Your digestive system will begin to shut down over a long period of time, because we're not supposed to be in it for a long period of time, remember. It was designed to be a bang, everything through our muscles so we could fight or run, right? But now that's going on in our bodies constantly. So our digestive system, IBS, massively caused by stress. Our periods sometimes stop, or we get mixed up periods, a reproductive system. We also can't think straight because, again, it's laser focused to deal with what's there. And our breathing becomes really shallow, so we're not getting enough oxygen to our brain. But that's happening on a daily level, on a daily basis for most people. And we're just sitting in that constant harm, but you don't know what's happening to your body inside. Your cortisol is going through the roof. We're supposed to have a rise of cortisol when we get up in the morning. It's called your kickstart hormone, and then reduce throughout the day. What's happening is it's high in the morning. It's just getting higher and higher and higher, which is also causing massive sleep problems. And then you can't get to sleep, and sleep, if you've got a lack of it, causes even more cortisol to rise. So I could have a whole new, another workshop on sleep. But cortisol actually makes you hold on to belly fat. So there's been a link to holding on to belly fat. So you're stressed, and you're overstressing your central nervous system, potentially by doing too much exercise, because you haven't got everything else dialed in. So you're wondering why the things that you used to do aren't working. So you're pounding the pavement, you're on the treadmill, you're doing everything, all your crash dieting, you're putting your body under more stress, more cortisol, and it's negating the very thing you're trying to get rid of, which is probably your belly fat. So cortisol is a massive, massive thing. We need to learn stress management techniques to bring ourselves down. It's kind of a similar thing to the mindset stuff, but strategies to deal in the moment with stress is really, really important. And it's about choosing our reaction. We use a lot of NLP stuff here. You know, we've been told this in the last 18 months, we cannot control the outside world at all. What we can control is our reactions to things. We are responsible for that. We can either take a stressful stance, or we can say, do I want to be right here, or do I want to be happy? Do I want this to affect the rest of my day and then affect the people that I love and my work and my well-being and my body? Do I really want to do that to my body? I know what's happening now. It's causing massive stress and I'm holding on to belly fat because of it. I need to give myself permission to learn these tools and techniques to start managing my stress levels, because at midlife, you're ignoring that. You're on autopilot. You're just going, going, going. What we need to do is not overcomplicate our lives more, but to actually simplify our lives a little bit more. And I know what you're saying. I don't have time. I've got a crazy, stressful life. I'm telling you, if you don't take even 5 minutes to center yourself with some morning rituals, this is what we teach our clients, morning rituals and stuff in the morning, even that, and to have a tool that you can call on throughout the day if you get stressed, and awareness as well. If you don't, you're going to really, really regret that, because your body is going to kick back. Stress has been linked to cancer, heart disease, so many illnesses and depression. So you need to learn how to manage it in order to live a healthy, but happier life. They're completely interlinked. Ha! Emma, here we are. Sugar. So I've actually not called this booze. I've actually just called this one sugar, because sugar is now in everything. It is. There's research that's just come out, which is insane. 8,000 people. They did a survey of 8,000 people that were born in 1970, and they thought that 1 in 5 of them would have 2 illnesses, like serious illnesses, or more. It was 1 in 3. 1 in 3 of those 8,000 people that were born in 1970, so Generation X, which is what we are, had 2 or more serious illnesses like heart disease and diabetes. And we're the only generation, they think, Generation Xers, in history that won't live as long as our parents. And I have to say, genuinely, a lot of it is to do with this bad boy, sugar. We are the generation that had ultra-processed foods brought into our world. We had insanely sugary cereals. Our insulin response is just all over the place for a lot of people. That's why we've got diabetes. The diabetes epidemic and obesity epidemic is because of sugar. It's in so many things. NHS say that anything above 22.5 grams per 100 grams of sugar is a high sugar product. You need to start learning to look at the back of food labels. It will say carbohydrates of which sugars. That's what you need to look for. Anything below about 10 grams per 100 grams is a low sugar product. That's fine. That's okay. But you need to start looking even in sandwiches. Packaged sandwiches full of sugar. Even these fancy vegan, gluten-free bars. I've looked, I'm not going to name the names, I've looked on some of the back of the ones that I know so many people eat, and it's got more sugar than a Mars bar. Because you need to look out for things like date nectar, date sugar, agave syrup, all these things, they are still sugar, they're still high in sugar. So you need to start learning to look at that, because what happens is, as we age, us midlifers, we are becoming more insulin resistant, which means we are not able to process sugars in the body as effectively anyway. So we're becoming more insulin resistant anyway. And as we become more insulin resistant, guess what? That sugar that goes unused gets stored as belly fat. So we need to start learning to reduce the sugar in our diet more than ever before, because we're becoming insulin resistant, which means that we are more prone to things like diabetes. So if we're ploughing our body with sugar, which is spiking our insulin, and we're going on this constant roller coaster, they say sugar is more addictive than cocaine. It is insanely addictive. This is why people have like such lows when they start coming off sugar. And I'm not saying come off it altogether. I'm just saying be really, really aware of it. And alcohol is, I call it beer belly and wine waste. Because clients come and they're like, oh, I'm not having very many calories. I'm like, let's not even talk about calorie counting too much. But then they're like, oh, I'm having a couple of glasses of wine a night, or I'm having a glass of wine a night. And I'm like, that's the problem. It's full of sugar. You're having it late at night. You're not even using it up, and it's going straight onto your belly. Another thing I would say is also sugar is in high GI food. So it's not just sugar products. It's things like white pasta, white bread, white rice, potatoes. Game changer. Cut those things out after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and honestly, you will notice a huge, huge difference. Because I'm all for carbs. I love my carbs, but I front load them in the day. and they're low GI carbs, like low glycemic index. I mean, the sugar content is very high, because they will then release their energy slower throughout the day. So I have things like oats in the morning, and then at lunchtime I might have a bit of sourdough bread or some brown rice or something like that. But I never, ever, well, I do. 80% of the time I'm good. I hate that word. 80% I'm on point with my diet, my foods, 20% I'm not. Because life is about balance, and a healthy relationship food is the most beautiful thing you can ever have, because I didn't have it and now I do. And I love the fact that I can go and have 20% of the time where I just, pretty much can eat what I want, takeaways and things. But yeah, so it's a massive, massive game changer, because we cannot process those. If we're eating those things really, really late at night, we're not using them up. We're not using those carbohydrates up throughout the day. They're your energy source. They're brain function. This is why I don't like the keto diet. Sorry, but I don't. Your brain and energy, it needs fueling with carbohydrates. And then in the evening, not eating those really starchy carbohydrates, because they'll spike your insulin, and also you won't use them, and anything that goes unused will be stored as belly fat. So that's why you need to front load your carbohydrates. And the reason I'm saying that is because carbohydrates, of which sugars, carbohydrates are essentially made up of sugars. So just making sure that you're really, really aware of this stuff, really being aware of your alcohol intake. It's also a depressant. It makes you, it lowers your immune system. It creates anxiety. I was saying to Emma, I can hardly drink anything now. I'm in my 40s. I cannot hardly drink anything now. It really reacts badly to me. As we age as well, the enzymes produced to be able to metabolize alcohol reduce, especially for us women. So it's really, really important to look at your alcohol intake. I think sales of alcohol went up, something crazy in lockdown. And it's debilitating if it becomes a real habit. So managing those habits with the mindset stuff that we teach as well is really important. But yeah, you're becoming more insulin resistant. The more you're on this insulin roller coaster constantly, the more you're going to crave sugar. They say as well that the first thing that you eat in the morning sets up your insulin bandwidth for the day. So if you're eating a really high sugar product, or you're having a sugar-free hazelnut wet latte, which is still sugar, and you're having a croissant, your insulin starts here, it's going to be like this for the rest of the day, and your bandwidth is like that rather than like that. You want a steady release as much as you can. So that is it. And this is me. If you want to go to find out a little bit more about us, it's the midlifementors.com. It's me looking absolutely shattered on a mat. What I would say is also just there are so many. I don't like using the word mistakes, but there are so many things that we're not aware of. We're not aware of when we get to midlife, us women. We're trying to do it all. We're trying to be everything. Our body shape's changing. It can be really disheartening. But honestly, I feel better now than I've ever felt. I know it's possible. I could talk a whole thing about supplements as well, but that's my perimenopause and menopause workshop. Supplements. Lots and lots of mindset stuff, lots of spiritual practices that I do that really, really help me. But also just like realizing that this is the only home I have. Life is not a dress rehearsal. This is, hey darling, this is not a dress rehearsal. Like we get this one shot. Whether you believe in past lives, I won't even go into that. But you've got to look after this, because if you don't, nothing else that you have is going to matter if you don't have your health. Your health really is your wealth. So that's what I hope that James and I do, is to really help people understand what's possible. Yes, it might feel like a really long journey to get back to well-being, but it's baby steps and they accumulate over time. You just need some people that give you the right support. I think accountability is massive. So anyway, there we are. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, Emma, that's it.
I'm on mute, sorry. I just said, I think I love you. You've just given me basically the kick up the arse that I needed to get on with it. I mean, with things like resistance training and stuff, I've known for a little while that I need to do it, and then I just might go for a run. That's it. Yeah. And it's the motivation. So yeah, having someone like you talking, you're just so full of energy that it's amazing. Living proof as well that it all works and it all makes so much sense when you put it together.
Oh, it does. I mean, I can't say enough. Understanding, your belief systems, where you want to go, what makes you tick, prioritizing that, And then these things, the self-sabotaging behavior actually stops taking so much control and so much hold, because essentially at the end of the day, it's about our enoughness. So when I go from a really perspective, it's like, I am worth this. I am worth investing in my health and my well-being. I'm worth taking 5 minutes out of my morning as soon as I get up to center myself and not let the outside world in until I've decided how I want my day to be and set the intention. But yeah, the resistance training a couple of times a week, that's what the NHS guidelines now say. They used to just say like three cardio sessions a week. Now they've actually said you need to include 2 resistance training sessions. But people, the real fear for women still about bulking up and stuff, and it's just, we don't have enough testosterone.
Yeah, so you're going to tone up, you're not going to, end up looking like a bodybuilder.
No, those women that you see, they're taking human growth hormones. They're actually some of the hormones that I haven't managed to talk about because I haven't got time. They're taking human growth hormone, they're taking steroids, they're bulking up. So women see that and they're like, oh my God, they do weights. I'm going to look like that. And I'm like, no, they're taking other things as well.
Yeah.
Loads of other things.
Well, just as a first start then, if people watching this are going to go, right, okay, I'm going to get some kettlebells, I'm going to start. What's a good thing to do from like day one? Good plans to follow, or
I'm going to give myself a shameless plug. Go onto our free YouTube channel, which is the Midlife Mentors, and there's band workouts on there. There's kettlebell workouts on there. There's HIIT workouts on there for all different levels. So you need to just get yourself a couple of kettlebells, like a 2. If you're starting out, even just use body weight or water bottles. We've got water workouts on there as well. So you can just like, some people joked, and they when we did our virtual retreats all last year in lockdown, people were like, can I use a wine bottle? I'm like, yes.
Don't drink it, just flow it around.
Yeah, like just using like anything for extra resistance, but starting off with your body weight is fine. But they're all on our YouTube channel. There's quite a few there. So start with those. And I would just say, like, know your why. Having a strong why to you kick up the backside that you need. Right, the why is, do you want to live a healthy, happy life? Do you have children that you want to be there for? Do you want to make sure that, you are injury-free and that you get to live an exciting, adventurous life? Because that's all down to what you're doing now. And the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today. Just go, start and start small. Know your why, but don't, break down the mountain into smaller steps. So when we do vision setting stuff, people are like, oh, people might have like 3 stone to lose, or they don't do anything. Well, just decide what you want to do for the next 2 weeks and do that, and screw the big goal. Just that.
Yeah. Baby steps. So Danny Wallace, that's done a session for us before on confidence and stuff, she, exactly like what you just said, she's got this lovely idea of like, think about yourself in the future, that person, and everything you do now is like a gift for her. Like you're working towards her and like her something. And then if you think back to yourself last year, 10 years ago, everything that you were doing then is sort of to get you to where you are right now. So you can be positive about that and kind of like you said, make all of the right little changes and baby steps, and then ultimately you'll get to where you want to get to. So
well, we do
nice way to think about it.
We do future pacing, so we do a similar thing. So I take people through like a guided future pacing thing where we go and get them to meet their future self. They have a chat with their future self.
Oh,
future self, yeah. So the future self kind of says, keep coming, like so I take them through a process of meeting their future self and embodying it, and then having all their ancestors around them to support them, and having that really, really sturdy place, and like using an anchor from NLP to take them back there each time when they're struggling or they're faced with a social situation where they might want to eat like 1,000 bread rolls, and it's anchoring them back to that future self. And that future self is saying constantly, thanks for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on me.
God, that's really fab. And on the limiting belief stuff, like when if you sit down and work out what your patterns are and what you are telling yourself and what you need to change to kind of manifest a better or a different style, What's a good thing? Look, right, when you've kind of worked out, like, oh, I do this all the time, I need to stop it. Where's a good place to start?
Knowing what the trigger is.
That? Yeah.
Knowing what the trigger is, knowing when those, and this is, so I always say to clients, just be curious. Non-judgmental curiosity. Curious. Don't go, oh my God, I've done it again. It's like, oh, that's interesting. I've done it again then. Okay, I'm going to write that down. So I get people to write things down. So like what my trigger is. When have I gone off the handle? When have I reached for the biscuits? Or when have I procrastinated? What's the trigger here? So knowing what the triggers are is your power. And then going, okay, but what beliefs, what emotions coming up when that's going on? Am I angry? And then is there a belief that's driving that? So I'm angry when this happens. The belief behind that is that I'm not safe. I don't feel like I'm safe to do what I love in my life. Something like that. And then having that, switching it around and saying, so almost like an affirmation, a really powerful statement like I am. I am is the most powerful statement. I am. So keep saying over and over again. That reprograms the neurons in your brain. So I am safe to do what I love. I am safe to be in this body, in this life. I am safe to make good food choices. I'm safe to regain control of my life. I'm safe to change my life. It's becoming easier. So it's like, it's this talk and doing it all the time, constantly, putting it on your mirrors, putting it up everywhere, changing your passwords. Like I've got my affirmations on my screen. I do them every morning. I write them down, I say them out loud, and then I read them throughout the day. And if I'm feeling a bit icky, because that happens to everyone, I read them again.
Amazing. Because I read, when you were talking then about the neural pathways and how if you keep going down the same track and ruminating on the same old shit, basically, you're going to make that really powerful. So if you can retrain yourself, even if you think of something a bit random, like, I don't know, being a pop star, that's way more useful to you than going back over old ground that's going to hurt you. But we don't know about it.
Does it make you feel happy? Yeah, well then do that. So if that thought, I'm like, if that thought over there is, and you're aware of it, and it's making you do anything that takes your attention away from it, because if you if you put your attention on that, it's going to grow, it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and grow. So switch it. As soon as you're aware of it, switch it. Do some jacks. Do something. Go out for a run. Phone a friend. Paint your nails. Anything. Read your affirmations. Visualize yourself as a pop star. And we judge. So put some music on. I dance around. Like when I'm feeling a bit, I'm just like put some music on and start dancing around. It changes my energy. And also we are energy, right? So if there's a lot of the time when we're feeling, it's because there's energy stuck in the body. So like getting it out is really powerful. Visualization, all of that stuff is incredibly powerful because they've done brain scans of a brain when they're actually doing something and a brain imagining it, and exactly the same things are firing. The brain doesn't actually know. And cocktail of hormones are being created. So the brain cannot distinguish between you actually doing it and imagining it. The same things are happening.
Oh wow. Okay. Right. Well, I'll be on stage in my own mind in about half an hour, playing to Glastonbury. It'll work better for me, won't it? I think we could talk all day, to be honest. There's obviously a couple of workshops in there that you've already flagged that I think we should do like in future. So watch this space, everyone. But in the meantime, where can people find you and listen to the podcast? And I'll put the YouTube details up. Where else can we?
On Instagram, we are at Midlife Mentors. We've got a free Facebook group, the Midlife Mentors community. But yeah, the podcast is called the Midlife Mentors. I mean, that's been going for a couple of years now. That's just James and I. Like it's just James and I taking the mickey out of each other, but giving lots and lots of helpful information as well. So everything from nutrition to exercise to mindset strategies, self-belief, all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, or just simply go to the midlifementors.com and you'll find all of that stuff I've just mentioned on there anyway.
Perfect. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Claire. I'm going to go do some jumping jacks, clear my head. Thank you for all of that. Yeah, loads of water. But have a lovely day. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.